Hello students of class 10. In the previous lecture we have already discussed about the importance of radiation, and we have already discussed in that chapter about the process of reproduction, and which one was the main step was the copying of the DNA. So now we will discuss about the different modes of reproduction, how the organisms reproduce, that type of modes, that type of reproduction capabilities we will be discussing now. First of all, we will highlight on the modes of reproduction which is used by the single organisms. Single organisms means only one organism is responsible for producing its own kind. So in single organisms, what will happen? One single organism without any partner will produce its own kind. So there is no male or the female partner, as you can say. So that type of reproduction is called what? Asexual reproduction, where there is absence of any male or female partner. Only single organism is there which will produce its young generation or new individual. So that type of reproduction is called what? Asexual reproduction in single organisms. No male or female partners are present in this situation. For that, we will study about the unicellular organisms. What are the unicellular organisms? Those organisms that have only one cell are called what? Unicellular organisms. Uni means one. So, single-celled organisms or one-celled organisms are called unicellular. What type of reproduction will take place there? That is called, first of all, we will discuss about this one, that is fission, or which is called the cell division. Now you can see the term fission. Okay, fission means to break. So when one cell divides into two or breaks into two, that is called what? Fission. Or it can break into many number of cells, but the breaking or the cell division is the main thing that takes place in the unicellular organisms. Now for the properly shaped organisms like bacteria and protozoans, one cell will divide into two equal halves. Now I will show you here. If this is one cell, that will divide into two, with the nucleus also will be distributed equally in the two cells. So when one cell divides into two equal halves, that is also called what? Fission. That is a breakage. So one cell breaks into two. Now for the amoeba, the organism will be divided into two, but it can take place in any plane because they don't have a proper and fixed shape. Amoeba does not have a proper shape. So here I will show you with the diagram. As you can see here, amoeba, this one is amoeba, the pseudopodia are coming out. So now amoeba try to divide and the nucleus also tries to divide. Then you can see the cell is trying to divide, furrows are created in between. Then the cell divides along with the nuclear division. Then one amoeba divides into the two. So, amoeba also divides by fission. One cell divides into two. So, that is why this type of division is called what? Binary fission. When one cell divides into two, that is called what? Binary fission. When one cell divides into many, then what will be that called? Obviously, multiple fission. Now you can see here I have written what? Leishmania. Here is one hair-like structure that is present at the side or any part outside the cell. There will be one whip-like structure in the Leishmania. So the body will divide, the binary fission will occur in a direction or orientation with this related to this structure, that is a whip-like structure. So when there will be cell division in Leishmania, the binary fission will occur in a proper orientation in relation to this thread-like structure. so that each cell that is divided from the parent cell will get this whip-like structure. So that has to divide like this. And for Plasmodium, one cell will divide into so many. So that is why it is called what? Multiple fission. That you can see in the diagram. Okay. So this, whatever we have discussed now, is the type of fission when one cell divides into two, or when one cell divides into a multiple or so many number of cells. That is called what? Multiple fission. Next you can see in yeast. What happens in yeast? In yeast, budding will take place. Yeast is a group of organism which comes under the kingdom fungi. So here you can see the yeast cell, and here is an outgrowth which is called the bud. When this bud will get the suitable condition, it can give rise to a new individual yeast. So that process is called what? Budding. So for single parents, just now we have seen what? Fission. Under that we have seen binary fission, multiple fission, and now we are seeing what? Budding, where unicellular organism can give rise to outgrowth which later develops into the individual organism like yeast. Next type of asexual reproduction. Now why we are telling it asexual? Because there are no partners. Male and female partners are not there. So that is why it is called what? Asexual. And here we have already discussed about the fission. Now we will discuss about fragmentation. Now fission we have discussed about for the unicellular organisms. But what about the multicellular organisms without any partner? So what will happen? When multicellular organisms don't have any partner and they have a relatively simple body organization, that is their body features are very simple. So like for example Spirogyra, some of the parts can be cut into pieces from the body of the Spirogyra, which can later develop into the new individuals. As you can see, I have written here pieces of the organisms can give rise to new individuals. That is called what? Fragmentation. Fragments means what? Pieces. So when these pieces are cut and these pieces are capable of growing into new individual, this process is called what? Fragmentation. We can easily see this fragmentation and where? Spirogyra. But what about all the other multicellular organisms? All multicellular organisms will not divide by fragmentation, because so many different types of cells will be there. Multicellular organisms are made up of many cells, and there are specialized cells which organize to form tissues. Specialized tissues performing specialized function will organize to form organs, and many organs will combine to form the organ system. All these will be performing particular functions. So what about the other multicellular organisms? Cell to cell division or cell by cell division is not possible in this, because all are doing their specialized functions. They are collection of cells which are doing their proper functions. So in such an organization where cell to cell division is not popular, it's not possible, so they need a more complex way of reproduction. They will have reproductive organs, reproductive cells which help them to reproduce. So what is the main thing that the multicellular organism follow? They have particular cell types which are specialized for reproducing. So this is a general pattern or general theory that multicellular organisms which have quite elaborate form of body organization, there the cell types will perform different functions, and also the reproduction in such organism is also a function of specific organ. So here you can see what the multicellular organisms where specialized tissues are there, then one of the cell types has the capacity of growing, dividing, proliferating and forming other cells. So this type of characteristic features are present on one type of cells. So these cells are responsible for reproducing the organism of its own kind. They are capable of growing, they are capable of dividing or proliferating, and they are capable of forming other cells. So this type of cells are able to reproduce and help in the reproduction in multicellular organism. Next type of reproduction can be regeneration. So many of the developed organisms have the capacity to give rise to the new individuals from their body parts. Suppose one of the body part is cut and that body part is kept. From that body part, the organism can grow easily. From the cut pieces of the body part, the organism can grow easily. This type of process is called what? Regeneration. Like Hydra and Planaria, these examples of the organisms which can be cut into pieces, and each piece can grow into a complete individual, Hydra or Planaria. Regeneration can take place. Hydra can be cut into pieces, and that pieces are able to give rise to a complete organism. Okay, so this type of process is called what? Regeneration. So there must be some specialized cell which will perform this process of regeneration. Yes or no? Because specialized cells will have the capacity to regenerate, to grow into new individuals. If there will be no specialized cells, then regeneration will be quite impossible. So there are specialized cells which has the capacity to divide or proliferate. Proliferate means to increase in number or divide. So they have the capacity to divide. They will increase their number. Okay, and the large numbers of cells are formed. From this type of cells and tissues, what will happen? These cells and tissues will develop and form various cells, types and tissues again. This will change and develop into different structure. So what happens here? Specialized cells are present in Hydra and Planaria. These specialized cells has the capacity to proliferate. What do you mean by proliferation? To increase in the number of the cell. So when the cell divides, the number of the cell increase. So a large number of specialized cells are formed which has the capacity to regenerate. Then this type of cells undergo some of the changes to form various cells and tissues. When this type of changes occur, they form what? Various cells and tissues, and then they form a sequence of events which is called what? Development. So this development leads to what? The formation of new individual. Like from the piece of the Hydra, another Hydra can grow through proliferation and the development of the cells and tissues. So this total process takes place. What are the processes? Proliferation, increase in the numbers. Then they undergo various changes to become various cells and tissues which later develop to form the complete organization, either Hydra or Planaria, from where we have taken the pieces. Okay. I hope it is clear. Now, Hydra also can produce its same type by the process of budding. Actually, what happens? The buds are the outgrowths that are present in the Hydra. They use the regenerative cells for the process of budding. Just now I told that the regenerative cells are specialized cells which has the capacity to divide and grow into new individuals. So Hydra will develop the outgrowth due to the cell division, and from these outgrowths the new individual tries to develop, and then when they fully mature with the body of the Hydra itself attached with it, then when they mature they cut off from the parent body, they are detached and they become the new individuals. What type of individual? Hydra. So Hydra will develop what? The hydra will develop the bud, which is the outgrowth attached to the body itself, will develop into new individual. When they mature, they detach and they grow into the hydra. So that is called the process. That process is called what? Budding. This happens in hydra. Already we have discussed about budding in yeast, which is an unicellular organism. Now we will talk about vegetative propagation. From the term itself you can see vegetative propagation. That means some part of the plants like roots, stems and leaves can give rise to the new plants. This is called what? Vegetative propagation. Development of the new plant from the vegetative parts of the plants. Vegetative parts are what? Roots, stems and leaves. So when the plant will develop from the vegetative parts, that is vegetative propagation. Now, like the rose plant, you cannot get the seeds from the rose plant. So here we can implement the method of vegetative propagation. Like flowering plants have the seeds, but rose plants you will not get the seeds. So here you can apply the vegetative propagation method. Now let us see the advantages of vegetative propagation. What do you mean by advantages? Uses. So number one is flowers, fruits grow earlier than those produced from seeds. When we are practicing vegetative propagation, we will use what? The parts of the plant. So while we are using the parts of the plant, the fruits and the flowers will grow faster than those with the seeds. The seeds will take time to grow because before that fruits are to be there. Then from there we can get the seeds. But here what happens? This takes place quickly because we are using the method of vegetative propagation. Next advantages will be some of the plants like banana, rose, jasmine, they don't have any seeds. So this is possible in vegetative propagation. Easily we can cultivate this type of plants. In agricultural practices, vegetative propagation is very much advantageous because they can produce this type of plants. And all the plants that are produced by this method of vegetative propagation are genetically similar to the parent. This you can easily understand, no? Because from the parents, single parent obviously, we are making the vegetative propagation, and so obviously the genes are same because there is a single parent. We are taking the vegetative parts from one parent only, so their genes are similar. So all the plants that are produced by the method of vegetative propagation are genetically similar. So there is no variation in the genes. We will get the genetically similar type of organisms. The plants will all be of similar nature, similar genetic characteristic feature. So this is quite advantageous. Okay. Next we will discuss about the tissue culture. This is also a very important part of the discussion where you can see from the heading itself is very easy to understand. Tissue culture is a process where a new plant can be grown from the cells. You can isolate the cells from the plants, and then the procedures can be followed so that a new individual can be obtained in a controlled situation. So in the laboratory, in a controlled situation, you can get the new plants from the tissues. Like what we'll have to do, the process is shown here with the flow diagram. As you can see here, the plants are chosen for which you will do this tissue culture. From there you can identify the cells and isolate them, separate out the cells, what you want, and then you keep the cells in a medium. Now I'll tell you about the medium here. What is the medium? This is a nutrient medium where we allow the cells to grow and divide. Okay, so the cells are isolated, taken out from the plants, and then they are kept in an artificial medium with the nutrients. That means some nutrient medium is given, some food items, glucose are kept there so that the cell can divide rapidly to form a group of cells. Now they will divide in the medium. Who will divide? These cells are kept in the medium. So they will divide very quickly and they will form a group of cell which is called what? Callus. Okay. So cells grown in the medium with the constant supply of nutrient will divide continuously and form what? The callus. What is this? This is a group of cell. Then this callus that is grown here is again transferred to another medium, a separate medium which contains the growth hormones. Okay. So, first of all, this will go in one medium, nutrient medium. They will develop into callus and then they are transferred into another medium which contains the hormones for the growth and differentiation of the cells. Now from here, this callus residing in this medium which contains the hormones for growth and differentiation, they develop into small plants which are called what? Plantlets. Then these plantlets are cultivated in the soil that developed into mature plant. So where it is used? Mostly it is used in this tissue culture practice is used mainly for the ornamental plants that we use to decorate our homes. We can keep it in the balcony or in our rooms for interior decoration, which is for ornamentation. For that type of plants, tissue culture is very, very important. Okay, so what happens exactly in tissue culture is given in this flow diagram. Cells are isolated, grown in the medium which contains the nutrients and they divide randomly. They produce a group of cell which is called callus and then they are again transferred to another medium which contains the hormones for growth and differentiation because the cells has to grow. Then they will divide into small plants which are called plantlets. They are then transferred and put in the soil. And where they grow, after getting the suitable conditions, so they develop into the mature plants. And then where it is used? In the ornamental plants. Okay. And the next part of the vegetative reproduction, as you can say, tissue culture is completed. Now we will do about the asexual reproduction method. Another one is left, that is the spore formation. So we've already discussed about fragmentation, regeneration, budding and also fission, binary fission and multiple fission, and this one is for spore formation. Now what are the spores? These are the reproductive cells which are present in the new organisms where there is no fusion of the male and female gamete present. So, the new individual is formed without the fusion of the male and the female. There is no fusion of male and female gametes. So, this type of reproductive cells are present in single parents. Once again, we are discussing about what? Single parents. So, we are discussing about what? Asexual reproduction. So, here we are discussing about the spore formation, which are the reproductive cells only, but there is no fusion of the male and the female part. This type of spores are stored in the sacs, which are called what? Sporangia. Some bag-like structures are present which are called sporangia. Mostly we can see this in some types of fungi, which is called the rhizopus. One type of fungi is called rhizopus. So here you can see the spores inside the sporangia. These are the bags which contains the spores, which are the reproductive cells. And outside the spores there is what? A thick cell wall, so that it can protect the spores from any sort of environmental disaster or any sort of damage. So the spores will be protected by the help of the thick walls from any sort of damage. Now you can see I have shown here some knob-like structures. And these hair-like structures are called what? Hyphae. This type of thread-like structures are called hyphae, which is one of the most important feature of the kingdom fungi. Hyphae are thread-like structures that are present in kingdom fungi. So, here at the tip of this hyphae, there are some knob-like structures which are called what? Sporangia, which contains the spores, as you can see here. Okay. So under suitable conditions, the spores will develop into the new plant. When the spores will get the suitable condition, they will develop into the new plant. And before that, the thick walls will protect the spores from any damage, from harsh environmental condition, from external shock. All will be. Spores are released outside. How the spores are released outside? When the sporangia wall bursts, then the spores are released outside. When they will get the suitable condition, the spores will develop into a new plant. So all these types that we have discussed now is about the sexual type of reproduction, where there is only one parent or there is single parent. There is no male or female partner present here. So next lecture will be about the male and female partners, that is the sexual reproduction, where partners have to be present. Hope you have understood this part of the chapter, and so in the next lecture we will be starting with the sexual reproduction. Just before that, you go through the lecture and also see the book if you have followed all the points or not.